Under the Jamindar system, there was no direct relationship between farmers and British government. There were middlemen between farmers and the government. The middlemen were called Jamindars, Inamidars. The Jamindars collected land revenue directly from the farmers at a very high rate, and they in turn paid to the British government. So the land revenue system under which farmers did not pay directly land revenue to the British government was known as Jamindar system. So this Jamindar system was not useful, not beneficial to the farmers, because the Jamindars and middlemen collected a high rate of land revenue. When the farmers failed to pay land revenue in time, their lands were taken away by the Jamindars. Many farmers became landless farmers because of the Jamindar system due to the unlawful activities of the Jamindars, Haryanagidas. So this was the Jamindar system should know. Regarding Jamindar system, should know who are the person responsible. The places where mainly Jamindar system was introduced, and what was the Jamindar system. So these are the three things you should know about the Jamindar system. Likewise, Raitwari system. Raitwari system was introduced in those places where Jamindars were not there. The person who was responsible for the introduction of Jamindar system was Thomas Munro. Thomas Munro, he was the famous British economist who recommended to introduce the Raitwara system in those places where Jamindars were not there to collect a land revenue. So, what was the Raitwara system? The Raitwara system is like that, what we are following there today. So, under the system, there was a direct relation between farmers and British government. The farmers who cultivated the land paid directly to the British government. There were no middlemen. However, the land revenue that was collected from the farmers under the system was very high. And also, British government collected land revenue forcefully from the farmers at the time of failure of crops, at the time of drought, and that's also. So this system was also not useful, not beneficial to the farmers. And finally, third system, land revenue system was Mahalwari system. Here this system, what was this system? Before saying, regarding Raitwara system, you should know what are the main places in which a Raitwara system was introduced. Madras, Orissa, in some parts of Andhra Pradesh. Like that, in other places where Jamindars were not there. Now coming to the Mahalwari system. Mahalwari system was introduced mainly in Agra, Punjab, Oudh. Mahalwari system was introduced before independence in India in some places where Agra, Oudh, Punjab. What was the system? Under the system, the land revenue was collected collectively by a society in a village, and they paid the total revenue which was to be paid by village to the British government collectively. So the system under which land revenue was paid to the British government collectively by all the farmers in a village is called Mahalwari system. So these were the three systems, land revenue systems, which were introduced in India before independence, mainly to bring about more and more revenue to the British government, not to develop the agriculture sector, not to improve the economic status of the Indian people or agricultural laborers and just farmers in India. So these are the three systems you have to know mainly regarding land revenue systems and agriculture in India. On the whole, agriculture was not developed before independence. That means the production and productivity in agriculture was very low because of lack of irrigation and other incentives or other facilities to the farmers. Now coming to the industrial sector, industry. Before independence, there was no industrialization because British government did not take initiative to develop key and basic industries, other basic industries. Of course, there were some industries which were developed and established by Indians and some other people in India. There are some, what are the important industries that were existed in India before independence? Take in the cotton textile industry. The cotton textile industry first cotton textile industry was established in 1854 in Bombay. Then first jute mill established in India in 1855 near Hooghly in Calcutta. And other important industry, major industry which was developed in India before independence was Tisco. You know Tisco? Tata Iron Steel Industry, a company. Tata Iron and Steel Industry, which was very famous large scale industry before independence, which was established by the famous industry Tata on the private sector in 1907. The first iron and steel industry, which was established before independence on the private sector in 1907 by Tata. Then he was then famous industrialist. So this was called Tisco. Where was located in this university? Jamshedpur, Bihar was established. This Tata Iron Institute was established in Jamshedpur, Bihar by Tata. So these were the only major industries which were established in India. Of course, there are some paper industry, metal industries, small scale industries were there. They were not well developed. Indians used to develop these industries without any facilities. However, the productivity in industrial sector was also low. And the development of capital goods industries was not developed. There was no capital goods industry before independence. What do you understand by capital goods industry? So this was the basic industry. This is the basic industry which produce machinery and tools, which were very important for the development of other industries. So capital goods industries were not developed in India before independence because of the colonial rule, because of the colonial policies followed by the British government before independence. So, on the whole, in the case of industrial sector also, the production and productivity was very low. Major and small scale key and basic industries, capital goods industries were developed. Even though there were some few industries, British government did not take any initiative, did not help in any way to develop these industries in India before independence because of the colonial policies. So this was the state of industrial economy, industrial sector before independence in India. Then what about other important economic issues you should know before independence from the examination point of view? Yeah, before independence, national income was also very low. Per capita income, national income was very low. However, British government did not estimate national income in India before independence. But there are some Indians, mainly Dadabhai Nauroji, V.K. R.V. Rao, Siraj, R.C. Desai, these are the famous Indian economists before independence who estimated national income in India. The first person who calculated national income in India was Dadabhai Nauroji, and also he explained how resources in India were exploited and mainly Indian resources were drained off to England. So he propounded one theory called drain theory. You should remember drain theory. Drain theory was developed explained by Dadabhai Nauroji was a famous Indian economist and also nationalist, one of the important nationalist leader, Dadabhai Naoroji. He explained the grain theory. In this theory, he explained how the Indian resources were exported and trained off to England. In this grain theory, Indian resources were used and trained up to England mainly in the form of worm charges. Worm charges. This was a concept coined by the Dadabhai Naoroji. The surplus resources, the export surplus, which was there in India before independence, was not used to develop the Indian economy. The export surplus was used for the payment of salaries to the British employees, army personnel, for the retired British persons as a pension. These are called home charges. What are home charges? Payment of salaries to the British employees working in India, payment of salaries to the army personnel, payment of pension to the retired British personnel only. In this way, export surplus, Indian resources were drained off England in the form of home charges. So this is a very important concept. You should know, should remember, you should know about Dadabhai Naoroji. What was the contribution of Dadabhai Naoroji before independence with regard to the Indian economy? Mainly you should remember, he estimated the national income, he propounded the grain theory, and he explained how the resources, Indian resources were drained up to England through home charges. So another important person is V.K.R. Rao. V.K.R. Rao was also important to Indian economist who estimated national income. The estimation of national income of V.K.R. Rao was very important comparing to the other persons. Like that, Siddhartha and R.C. Desai were also there, but from the examination point of view, you should know about Dadabhai Naoroji and V.K.R. Rao. Was the important person who estimated, who calculated national income in India before independence. Then you should write, you should know the name of the person called V.K.R. Rao. Because the estimation of national income by V.K.R. Rao was very important. Regarding Dadabhai Naoroji, you should know about drain theory and home charges. So this is about national income and drain theory in India before independence. On the whole, before independence, in all sectors, production and productivity was very low. British government introduced various colonial economic policies in different places in view of promoting their motive, that is colonial motive, not for the development of Indian economy. So this was the state of Indian economy before independence. After independence, we started developing Indian economy through 5 years plans. You know, we got independence 19 47. Then Prime Minister of India was Sri Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. So he put forward the concept of socialistic pattern of society, and he wanted to develop the Indian economy through planned economy. So planned economy was started after independence in 1951. That means first 5-year plan began in India in 1951. Prior to the implementation of the 5-year plan, Government of India appointed Planning Commission. Planning Commission in 1950 under the chairmanship of Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru. This Planning Commission formulated first year plan and implemented in 1951. So we shall see tomorrow in the next class about 5 years plans and other important economic issues. I hope you try to understand what I have explained, various economic issues before independence, so that they will be more useful for the examination. Thank you very much.